welcome to another episode of A Ghost in the Magazine. I'm Stef.
And I'm Elle.
And this week's movie is Signs. Dun dun dun! Okay, so, first of all, this is the next movie in my birthday month. It is one of my all-time favorites. It was also, I feel like I'm covering like staples in my household. However, the next movie, The Craft, it was not that. It was a solo adventure. It was just me loving it. Nobody else in my family. I don't know if they've even seen it. They don't like it. But this movie, I don't know if it's technically horror. I feel like M. Night Shyamalan veers more towards like sci-fi.
Honestly, I feel like sci-fi and horror, they fit together very well. They're very complementary speculative genres, so
they like to hold hands.
They do.
And they're cute when they do it, especially in this movie. I mean, like, this one was scary to me for a lot of reasons. Obviously not scary anymore, but not in the way that, like, have you ever seen The Fourth Kind?
Mm-mm.
That movie, it's got Mila Jovovich in it. It's about alien abductions, and it scared the shit out of me for a reason that kind of crosses paths with some of the elements of this movie, and I'll talk about it when we get there, because I don't know if you've heard this theory, but how did you like it first?
I didn't watch alien movies for a long time because it legit scared me. I can deal with ghosts and shit because it's all fun make-believe, but aliens are things that are, perhaps, I can't prove or disprove, and they have better technology and can sneak in and can do pretty much anything. I don't know what they can do. You can assign anything to alien technology. So I do feel like as scary as some of the scenes were, as weird as some of it was, the alien part of it was very ham-fisted. It felt very secondary to the actual story of the characters. And that was some well-written shit. I hate Mel Gibson. And so I was planning on hating on this movie, and I really can't. And they wrote his character so fucking well.
I'm not going to say I hate him, but I'm not a Mel Gibson fan.
Oh,
I did warn Elle before she watched it. I said this is the only thing I love Mel Gibson in. And I don't think it did anything for her thoughts on wanting to dislike the movie. But the whole, trauma part of this movie, it's so, in your fucking guts and your heartstrings. Mel Gibson plays Graham. So, anytime kids are involved, I'm already fucked up. And he's got sweet little Rory Culkin and Abigail Breslin. Tiny, tiny little babies in this movie, and they're so good at acting. Mm-hmm. Everything just feels so real. You really feel like you're sitting in this fucking family's house while they're grieving the loss of Graham's wife and their mother. It's fresh, and it just kind of creeps out of the TV and touches you. And it's so much. So Graham lives with his kids and his brother, Meryl, who is Joaquin Phoenix. I have seen this movie so many times, I can probably act it out as a one-man show because it's so good. But Graham is a disillusioned father, priest. He lost his faith because of life was taken from him. And first of all, I love how M. Night Shyamalan puts himself in movies, and that he doesn't necessarily give himself the role of a good guy. He plays, I think his name is Ray, the guy who essentially killed this man's wife, and it was a freak instance. She went for a walk one night, and he just happened to fall asleep at the wheel right at that moment. It's so traumatic. And he hit her in a way that pinned her to a tree, and the truck was the only thing holding her together in her final moments, speaking to her husband. That's some fucked up shit, respectfully. Mm-hmm. And what I really like is that they don't just tell you all of this. You see it in glimpses of things that are happening around them, triggering these memories in Graham. And he was doing his fucking best to raise his children in this big old house surrounded by cornfields, first of all, which that's a white people choice that I couldn't make, but it is what it is. It's just so good. So in the middle of them doing this, fucking crop circles start showing up all over the place. And of course, they have a cornfield, and the kids find that, and weird shit starts happening. The dogs are acting up. One of the dogs tries to attack Bo, and Morgan has to stab it with a barbecue fork, it's like not okay. It's just like everything is slowly falling downhill and just becomes unreal.
I don't like the dog thing. I see why things are coming apart, yes. But the kid has to stab the dog. He has an asthma attack, so obviously it's traumatic. I mean, he does cry during the one dinner. He's not super emotional though otherwise. And eventually they have to tie their other dog up and it gets ate by the fucking aliens or whatever the fuck the aliens are doing to it, because you can hear it in the background.
Those sounds, the like clicking
that's a hell no for me. It's like bug sounds. But I would say for me, there's a conversation when the invasion begins on TV that Meryl and Graham have, where I started fucking crying during that scene because it was so much what I'm dealing with right now. There's two types of people. There's the people that believe in coincidences and believe that everything happens for a reason, and there are the people that think that people just trip into luck and some people are lucky. And Meryl, he just very strongly says, well, I believe things happen for a reason. And Graham's like, he can't believe anymore. He lost his faith when his wife died. And I realize I talk like that a lot, even though I'm trying not to be that. So that, and then the way that everything comes together so succinctly in the end, and how everything really did happen for a reason, it has a elegance and a beauty that you don't see in real life, but it's like the way that you wish things would turn out. And there's a scene where they're having like their last supper pretty much before everything.
Just fuck me up over that scene.
Yeah, because Graham's like freaking out. He's like, nothing can stop us from enjoying this dinner. We're gonna fucking enjoy this. Well, he didn't say that because he doesn't curse, because he's a very much an Episcopalian minister. But he's going off and his son's like, I hate you. You're awful. And everyone's crying, but it's like, again, he's not wrong. The only person that can stop you from enjoying that meal is yourself, and you're the one fucking it up, brother.
It's true.
Those two scenes to me, besides like the way that the ending dovetails together, is all of it. And it's funny, my brother asked me what the Shyamalan twist was in this one, and I was like, no, it's just how everything comes together in the end. It being revealed that the aliens are allergic to water, come the fuck on.
This ties into everything that I'm gonna tell you. That may change your mind, but you may not enjoy the movie as much after I tell you this. I'm not gonna say it yet. I'm gonna talk about, besides everything that you just talked about, the scary parts for me. That scene where I believe it's Graham out in the cornfield and he sees that alien foot and the clicking sounds and the way he's running back to the house, I feel like I'm fucking on his back, like, run! Like, let's get the fuck out of here. I've never seen anything like that before in my entire life, like losing my shit. And that's the thing, because you don't know if aliens are real, but if they are real, they could fuck us up like that, in the way that aliens have been portrayed and like spoken about, like on Ancient Aliens and things like that.
I've never watched that and I refuse to.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. The other scene when they finally get a glimpse of the full body alien. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite part. When Meryl is watching the news and they get that footage from Brazil at a kid's birthday party and they're like, it's behind, and that bitch steps out from behind the car and you see it and you're like, that's a fucking alien. And you're seeing it on the news. I could not imagine. I would absolutely pee my pants. And that's why I don't watch the news, because fuck the news.
I don't watch the news because I don't have cable anymore, but
if I did, I still wouldn't watch the motherfucking news. Like,
I probably would.
Thank you.
I would say most of the Seattle news stations have been taken over by Sinclair, so they're all right-wing propaganda factories, so.
Oh, cool. I love a good propaganda factory.
According to local news, there is just anarchy in the streets everywhere, but you go there and there's just people living their lives and a lot of homeless people because Amazon rolled into town and made everything $500 million. So
the aliens could abduct Amazon. That would be great.
Just remove the tech bros from Seattle for me, like all of them.
Suck them right up.
All those fucking water-filled bags of meat, you know, you're allergic to water, just keep collecting those allergens. My brother and I were talking though, and like maybe they could get high. You know, sometimes stuff that's poison, if you take it at a small dose, you could get high. Maybe they were collecting people so they could get high.
Microdose on
microdose people.
People poison. Ew. disgusting.
My conspiracy for the movie.
Okay, so the other part, first of all, Graham, I feel like, is an exceptional man for the way that he has dealt with everything, and then also the fact that this man who killed his wife calls him because he trapped a fucking alien in his pantry. And even though this man killed his wife, he still went over to this man's house and they had a face-to-face conversation. Like, how many people could say that even though, like, it was not your fault, you didn't intentionally do it, that I would sit here and have a conversation with you? You know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot of healing.
Okay, it does, yes. But also, regardless of his loss of faith, dude was a minister for his profession. So he was a professional forgiver. I think it would bring an entirely unbelievable level of vitriol to the character for someone like that to hate that man. It's one thing to have that restrained, upset anger that kind of comes off of him, but I think to like openly hate or shun somebody like that it was an accident. He didn't mean to do it. It wasn't on purpose. Right. He didn't kill her with malicious intent. I think that would be outside of the bounds of somebody who was a professional forgiver. I don't think that I would buy that character. I think it, again, adds more depth to this character that I was not expecting.
Yes, it just makes it so good. So then Graham's like, all right, it's like a test of faith almost to go into this house and be like, what am I going to see? And the pantry door is closed. It's got that chair shoved up against it to keep that bitch in. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do it. And he uses the knife to see. And when it reaches his hands out and he like reflexively chops the fingers off, scared the shit out of me. Just putting that out there.
Chops the fingers off. This is like Phantasm. This is like Subspecies. This is a finger movie now. The thing about the Ray character, and I do like that he decided to go ahead and play that character himself. He's kind of a hated figure, but he's also a pitiful figure.
He probably has a connection with the character. Like, this movie is his baby, but like that character was also his baby. He probably had extra compassion.
The character is also the trigger for everything, and it's his script, the trigger for the story. So it's like figuratively him. Because even here, Ray's the one who says, well, it doesn't seem like they're going near water. I don't want to like ruin whatever you're about to reveal, but what his wife said to him, this is where his eyes open. We'll put it that way. So it's figuratively based on what Stef will tell you eventually about what his wife said to him. This is where he opens his eyes and starts collecting that data that eventually dovetails together at the end of the movie.
So I'm going to talk about the thing now. He chops this bitch's fingers off, and this ends up being the alien that comes back for revenge right at the end. It's very apparent because they survived the alien attack and they boarded up their house and they come back upstairs because Morgan has had an asthma attack and didn't have his inhaler. So they think they're safe and they go to get his medication, and this motherfucker is standing in their living room holding this baby with his missing fingers, and they can shoot out a gas from their little wrist dick.
They were just like, wrist dick because that's what it needs to be called.
I really had you in mind. But they were like, no, he's having an asthma attack. His lungs are closed. So the poison can't have gotten there. Okay. So this is a theory that my mom had long before I actually saw it on the internet. When I mentioned ancient aliens, a lot of ancient aliens, they tie in history and things like ancient art with UFOs, but they also tie in religion. So the idea that they're allergic to water, the theory is that they're not actually aliens, they're fucking demons, and it's holy water. It's like representing holy water. Yeah.
I don't buy that so much. To me, the aliens are an afterthought to the effect that's going on. They could put anything in that fucking role, in my opinion. They could have put demons in that role. They could have done anything. The thing that's interesting about that scene you were talking about is you can see in the alien's skin the reflection, almost like a mirror, which I was trying to figure out what the meaning of that was.
So like leaning into this whole demon theory, the reason why it was always my mom's theory is because she always felt like demons put on a face. Their ultimate goal, as we saw from Constantine, is to get souls in any way that they can. And so like one really good way with the way that society is now, is would be like leaning into a conspiracy theory like aliens and taking that mask on. And the mirror thing, I hadn't thought about it, but just you saying that, like, demons are kind of like a parody almost of humans. They're like a caricature almost.
Well,
you know what I mean?
When they show themselves to humans, they're supposed to give you a human-like form, but there's always something that's slightly off. There's something you'll be able to tell, like they have cloven hooves, or they have something wrong with some part of their body. But I also feel like that is born in an era of people wanting to demonize people that have deformities. Yes. So that's the other thing. Look at the historical context.
It's like demon school every time Elle and I get together. That's really all I have to say about it. But it made sense, especially when you watch Ancient Aliens. And I don't know that M. Night Shyamalan confirmed it, but I feel like somebody did at some point. You can Google it.
I mean, you could drop anything into that. My problem is it made no sense. I mean, it does. Everything happens for a reason, right? So the kid being like, there's a hair in
the water's contaminated.
There's just water everywhere. So it was a way for everything to make sense. I feel like there's things I'm missing even in the symbolic context of this. Maybe he had a meaning for it, but to me it was just like an easy way out. And they reference the War of the Worlds a lot. Yeah. And it's like, oh, we're allergic to something. Peace.
So, no, them referencing War of the Worlds automatically makes me think about how people thought War of the Worlds was real, and it's not. So then for me, that leans into people thinking this is aliens, and it's not.
I don't know. I would say that there are things about this movie that leave me unsatisfied, but the emotional side and the character development is one of the most well-written things. This is the shit that I like to see in a book when I'm reading.
I have more things I could say, but unfortunately, we're running out of time. So, next week's movie is going to be The Craft. You can find this podcast on the interwebs at ghostinthemagazine.site or on Twitter at GITM Podcast, and you can follow me on Twitter at WitchXPudding.
And you can follow me at Nocturnical.
Okay, bye!